Welcome to another edition of Tuscaloosa Talks. I am on site at the McWright's Ferry Road Extension Project. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, but first, I want to welcome Mike Gardiner, new city engineer. Mike, how are you doing, man? How's it feel to be the new city engineer for the city of Tuscaloosa?
Well, it's a great honor, Mayor, and I really appreciate you giving me this opportunity. Still getting my feet wet, learning. A lot of challenges ahead, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Well, to be 25 years old, you come in with a lot of experience.
I do. I sure do.
To the job. Let's talk a little bit about your experience, because the majority of your experience has actually been private sector.
Yes.
Talk about a little bit about your private sector experience, and I want to kind of transition to that to what you're doing today with the city.
Okay, so I really started my engineering career in 1988, working for a private firm. About 9 years there. Ultimately, I ended up, my last 23 years of my career was with McGifford Associates. So,
a long-time, traditional, outstanding engineering firm for Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, the bulk of my design work was really in the private sector. I did do several city capital projects, drainage projects, sewer projects, things of that nature. But the bulk of it was, private. Was fortunate to work on several of the city schools that were constructed, several of the car dealerships in town.
So you take this private sector experience and you bring it to the city. How has that helped you as an engineer, coming from the private sector into what we do every day?
I think it makes me more solution-oriented. That we have an issue, or we have something, and my process is, to determine what is the solution.
What's your favorite discipline within engineering? I mean, I know, city engineer, you're seeing everything from water, sewer, road, stormwater. You see all kinds of different challenges. But if you had to go design something, what would you want that to be?
Probably storm drainage.
Really? Why?
It's a little bit of science and somewhat a little bit of art in it, is what I believe.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're looking at doing stormwater detention, the opportunities or the variables for doing underground detention or above ground detention just makes it a little bit of a challenge.
So speaking of challenges, we're on the side of, it's not in terms of dollars. The MLK Jack Warner project will ultimately be the largest city infrastructure project in our history. But this will be second at around $79 million. It's the largest infrastructure project the city has ever let in one phase. This project has a lot of challenges, so let's talk about it. One is the bridging of North River. So behind me is the pedestrian bridge, which will ultimately link into our Northern Riverwalk. Back over your shoulder is going to be the bridge for vehicle traffic. Just talk about what it takes to bridge North River.
Well, obviously, one of the paramount things is making sure that the roadway and the bridge can sustain, the flooding. We're right here by the river, so an anticipated 100-year flood event, the roadway has got to be able to be high enough so that doesn't affect anything, and also the infrastructure needs to be able to withstand any of the water forces that might occur.
So in terms of the challenges of just this project, what is our professional engineers that we've hired, the contractors who won the bid on this project, what are some of the challenges they're encountering with this project?
So this is a massive earthwork operation. I think somewhere around 1 million yards of dirt that needs to be removed from the site. So the magnitude of that, the planning, the forethought the contractor had to use, and how he's going to tackle that would be a tremendous challenge. Looks
like a lot of rock too, from coming in from the McWright's Ferry Road side of the project.
Yes, sir, and that's another challenge. That requires special equipment to either rip it or blasting. So it does produce another challenge.
Now, we're about to get into, and unfortunately for constituents that are north of the dam, and really, quite frankly, that are on in neighborhoods such as the Towns and others that are on the northern section of Old Colony or north of Old Colony. We're about to get into some traffic delays. There's about to be some major infrastructure or intersection work. Let's talk about first 297 and Rice Mine Road. What's going to be happening in that intersection that is going to cause some traffic delays?
So the intersection work or the creation of that intersection will kind of be done in pieces. You see the activity on both the north side of the road and the south side of the road now. That's the excavation work, bringing those areas down to grade for the new road surface. The next step will be that work's got to happen exactly where the intersection is going to be. So there'll be some temporary realignments of the roadways to create an area for that intersection to be built internally between those eastbound and westbound lanes.
So what can we expect to happen up on Watermelon and McWright's Ferry? And before you answer that, let me just say, I think one of the great things about this project that really doesn't get talked about a lot is that dangerous curve in Watermelon Road is going to be going away.
Well, that's true.
And no telling how many accidents, how much pain that curve has caused over the decades. But what's going to be happening in that intersection, especially for those that live on McWright's Ferry Road, neighborhoods like Lexington Downs and others along that corridor, what are they going to be seeing, and why is that going to be a disruption to traffic flow?
Well, anytime you try to create a new intersection or connection, putting these two roadways together, we've got to keep the traffic flow moving. Obviously, there will be, delays, holdups, just inconveniences. But again, similar to what I just discussed, the roadways have to be shifted to create the area to build the new intersection.
While still active.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So traffic will never be closed. It'll always be open, but you'll make temporary routes, I guess, would be around the construction site.
Any advice you'd give constituents out here about really the next year or so?
Be patient. You'll be so glad when we're finished, but there's no doubt there's going to be growing pains for us to get there.
Well, I know that you and I were walking the site a little bit earlier. The contractors have been ahead of schedule. That can certainly fade away with weather, something that's beyond our control. But right now, if everything continues as scheduled, this project will be complete by the time we close 2025.
That's right. That's our goal.
Well, I've got a good feeling we're going to be there. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is the city's embarking on something we've never done before. We have created basically a website and a text streaming message so to help people get the latest traffic information that are going to be impacted by McWright's Ferry Road. So one of the things you've had to work on as part of this project is, unlike other projects now, your team, our consultant engineers that we've hired, we're going to help provide the public real-time information. What kind of information might they receive?
Well, any progress that we're or where we're at in the construction, we'll be sending out notifications of the next step. For example, when we get ready to, make or start the connection to one of the intersections, we'll be obviously putting that out. There are going to be times where there'll be utility shutdowns for new water lines and reconnections. So those types of things would be broadcast as well.
Well, one of the things I would encourage everyone is, and I'm going to close by talking about the website and the text number. But before I do that, I really want to thank you, Mike, for the job that you're doing for the people of Tuscaloosa. You work extremely hard. If I text you early in the morning, you text right back. You're working early, you're staying late. You're going to be a difference maker. And as in the private sector, when you did so much for the city, now as a city engineer, you're going to leave a great legacy of progress. And I look forward to working with you in the years ahead, making it happen. So as we close Tuscaloosa Talk, I do want to encourage everyone to go to Tuscaloosa.com/roads. That website has been created to give especially the communities in and around McWright's Ferry Road project the latest information of what's occurring. As part of that, you can text into 888-777 and type in McWright, no S, again, 888-777, type in McWright. This will provide to your mobile device a text of any sort of traffic situations, monthly updates, and other pertinent information regarding this project. Our goal is if something happens, and it always does with road projects, you get the latest information. I know when I take Eli to school in the mornings, traffic is already difficult. If there are issues that are going to be complicated and create even more delays, our goal is to provide you that information straight to your phone. Again, that number is 888-777. Type in McWright. I want to thank our comm staff for putting that together, working with OCE and others. On the website itself, there's also will be traffic cameras as well and other information related to the project. I hope you'll check it out. Again, this is one of these great projects that will serve this city to the end of this century, and we're all excited to be part of it. I hope you learned a little something today about McWright's Ferry Road and what's going on in your city. And this has been another edition of Tuscaloosa Talks.